Good morning, everyone. How is everybody doing this fine Tuesday? I'm just going to bring this up on my laptop. And let's just hope the orientation is right. And yay, it's right. So, good morning. Make sure everybody can see this. Hello, is anybody there? It's 10:01. Oh, I don't know where everybody is today. Let's hope I've got my settings right and everybody can see me. If anybody's there, say hi. Just tagging a few of you. Hello. I'm just tagging a few of you as a reminder. Let's have a look here. Okay. Let's get back to where we were. So, hi Leslie, how are you? I think it's just you and me right now. I hope you are doing well. Boy, it feels like it's been such a long time since I've seen you. I'm just gonna move my camera then. Hi Peggy, how are you? Feels like it's been a while since I've seen you. Since I went to Prince George, I don't think I've seen any of you ladies. Oh, actually I did, because I had the class on Monday. Okay. Good. Heading home today. Nice. I hope you had a wonderful trip, Leslie. Long trip. Seems like you were gone for a while. Okay, so this morning we are going to be playing with the Dekor soft paints. I just love them. So these are a couple of the cards we're going to make. This card we actually made in one of our mixed media classes at the city. I know that Terry and Britt missed that class, and you have the kit, so this is a good one for you to watch. So what we're doing is just learning how to create mixed media backgrounds on this. Hi Janet, good morning or good evening for you. We're just learning how to create mixed media backgrounds on this. As you can see, there's quite a bit of detail that you might not be able to see in the actual pictures that I posted. So that is one card. The technique is going to be the same, just the way I've done the die cuts. Hi Jilly. Just the way I've done the die cuts is just going to be different. I really just want to show you how to, thank you Leslie, how to get this beautiful scrumptious textured background. Just using the different colors. So again, the technique will be the same for the 3 cards, just the embellishments are different. I just wanted to do 3, simply because 1 would be too fast, and 3, you can just see how the different colors work and interact with the distress oxides. Okay, hi Shilpa. Okay, so these are our 3 cards. Now what am I going to be using to create the backgrounds on those 3 cards? So the very first thing we're going to be using is Pentart primer paste. Thank you Shilpa, our go-to gesso primer paste. And also from the Pentart range, I mean, these come in a lot of colors, I think like 13 or 14 colors. But today I'm going to be using these 3 colors. We have Dekor Paint Soft Cardinal Red. We have Dekor Paint, I believe this is either Morning Glory, Patina Green, sorry, Patina Green, my mistake, Patina Green. Hi Diane. And Dekor Soft Paint Graphite. So I like the Dekor paints. They're very much like a chalk paint, if you will. So these are 3 colors I'm going to be working with. So this one had gone there, this one had gone there, and this one had gone there. And really, that's all you're doing. And just some pip art stamps and other stamps and fun stuff like that. So let's get started on how do we create this textured background that we have here. And like I said, it's very hard to bring it up on the camera, but it is quite textured, and I'll show you how to create that kind of worn down, shabby chicy textured look. Okay, so let's get started. I'm just going to grab my scissors, which for some reason are over here. Oh, I know, I was working on something last night. That's what happened. In fact, they're right here on my table underneath. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to want to do is grab yourself, these are 4x6. I've got all 3 right here. They're 4x6. And what we're going to do is come in and just take some paper from a book. Are the paints opaque? Yes, they are, Janet. They're very, very opaque paints, as you will see. It's the white gesso that I'm using over it that might give it a slightly translucent look. But yes, they're opaque. So the first thing that you want to do is take your paper and you just want to tear this up. Now what this will do is this is what's going to give you some of the texture in the background, and there's no right or wrong way of doing this. You just want to tear some of this paper up, and of course the more you're going to put down, the more texture you're going to get in the background. Now I like to keep my sides not so straight on the torn side, just because for me I just like the way that the texture comes about. So you can leave some pieces blank if you want to. And if not, you can definitely come in. So you're going to do that with all 3. Oh, I like the sound of that tearing paper. So again, the more paper you're going to use that you're tearing, the more you're going to get the texture in the background. Okay, nearly there, nearly there. Okay, so there we have it. So very simple, very straightforward. Now the next thing we're going to do is that we are just going to come in and just glue everything down. Thank you, Shilpa. Thank you, Sandra. So everything is just going to be glued down. So let's go ahead and do that. And I just love it because this has got to be the simplest way to create some texture. And you really don't have to think about it. And don't worry if it doesn't all glue down, because really at the end of the day, what you're trying to do is have some paper lift so that you have a little bit of texture. Any pieces that come off the end, don't worry, we can cut them after and tuck them in. But this is just a quick way to glue this down. Again, we're not too worried how much we get glued down. Anything that lifts is an opportunity for texture. So as you can see, this isn't something that you need to take, oopsie daisy, now I got glue all over me. This isn't a technique that you have to worry too much about. You're just gluing down paper, so just enjoy it. And any kind of glue at this point for this would work. You don't need a specific glue. I'm just using a regular glue. And as you can see, I'm not too worried or fussed at the parts where I haven't got it to stick down completely. So there you go, that's one done. Maybe I tell you don't worry about not getting it down, but then I go back in. Okay, so there you have one. So I'm just going to get a baby wipe and wipe that glue off my hand because now it's starting to bug me. And I do have to super duper apologize for my dirty nails because, as you know, I'm teaching paint pro classes on the weekend, and yeah, it gets a little bit yucky. Okay, so that's one done. As you can see, like I said, I'm not too fussed about where this is going or not going. It might be a bit boring for you guys to watch me glue, but it's good for you just to see how I build my texture. And it's relaxing, I hope. So there you have it. Nothing too, like I said, technical or hard to do. I'm just sticking them down wherever I feel like sticking them down. Goal is to create texture. Okay, so now you have two done. So we're just letting them sit here and dry. No, Shilpa, this is just a regular glue that I'm using. If I was using rice paper, I would use a Pentart Dekor medium, but for this I'm just using a regular, if you will, even a school glue. I use a craft glue, which can be used on wood and also on any kind of project that requires an extra strength, but it's not a special glue. For me, this is going to get covered up and whatnot anyway, so I'm not too fussed about the glue that I use. This is just about getting your papers down. Oh, I hope that's in camera. And I'm not too worried, this glue dries translucent, so I'm not too worried where on the paper I get it or don't get it. I'm not worried that it's going to cause a barrier for the paints on top. And like I said, don't worry about the pieces that come off the end because you can absolutely come in and cut those afterwards or right now. Okay, so there you have it. That's all you're doing. Like I said, you're not too worried about if you have some pieces that are off the sides or if you're missing a little bit of glue. The thing is to keep this as organic as you can. So let's just go ahead and take off some of those pieces that we have. I just want to say a big shout out to Min, Wendy, And Helen, Betty, we missed you for our little exclusive retreat on the weekend. Thank you for my goodies bag. And thank you for popping over to my workshop. And Rob, well done on your very first acrylic pour. I just wanted to say that you did amazing, hun. Okay, let's give that a quick blast. Hi Britt, how are you doing? I'm glad you're signing in. Better late than never. You know the mixed media class that you missed at the city, one of the 5. We did this card right here, one of the cards. So this would be a good one for you to watch. Okay, so there we have it. So the next step that we're going to do is we're going to come in with the Pentart primer paste. And I don't know where my sister is this morning. And all we're doing with the primer paste is, as you know, Pentart primer paste is a very thick paste. And that's why I like it, because it goes twice the distance, because you can really water this down. So now all that we're going to do is that we're just going to come in and we're actually going to cover this up. One of the reasons we're covering this up is because we want the chalk paint to sit on top of this, because we're not going to cover the whole card in chalk paint. We want some bits popping out that have white primer on them. So again, this is like a no-think kind of project. It's not something that you know, really have to worry about. As you guys all know, I'm not the best person when it comes to measurements and cutting. So things like this for me work when it comes to card making. And as most of you know, I love the Dekor paints. So just a nice thin layer like that. We're gonna go back and forth with the primer. So already you can see we've started to create some texture. Now if you wanted to have some of the reading paper, book paper to show, then you can go in, water this down and go in a lot thicker. Thinner, my apologies. Let's do the last one here. Now, when I worked with this one, the Cardinal Red, I so badly wanted to work with this Cardinal Red. Hi Jill, how are you? I so badly wanted to work with the Cardinal Red, but it scared the bejeebies out of me because when I put it down, it was like this bright red. And I was like, oh no, like what am I gonna do here? But you know, I'm gonna try my best to show you here. This is more about going back in and blending and playing between the Dekor Soft and the primer, and also using your distress inks as another form of creating a layer and creating depth on your cards. So, see, this bit is coming up quite a bit, and I'm just going to tuck that under with the primer and stick it down. Primer even works like a bit of a glue. So there you have it. Let's give this a quick blast. Okay, so let's work with one card at a time. So let's start off with this one. Okay, let's start off with this one. So let's pull these aside and here we go. So this one is using the Dekor Paint Soft Patina Green. Okay. Let's see, does that need a bit of a mix? And all you're going to do is you're just coming in roughly from the edges like this. That's all you're doing. You're just coming in a little bit rough from the edges. Not quite, I mean, I took in a dry brush, but I would recommend you going with a dry brush because this is a very creamy chalk paint. And you're just basically stifling it in to your areas here. You don't need a lot to do this technique. As you can see, that's just one brush strip that I'm bringing around. Now here goes my second one. And just come in from the outside like this. And you'll see how wonderful the Tim Holtz Distress pads work with this technique, because they're the ones that kind of take it over the edge. And it's nice to do it this way with your brush too, where you don't have a lot of paint on it because you're creating lighter and darker areas. So that's your first step. How easy was that? So you can see that. You can still see the writing through that. Okay. So the next step that you're going to do is you're going to come in, this dries quite fast. The next step you're going to come in and do is just bring in some paint to darken some areas, not all of it, and you can stifle it in like this. Stipple, not stifle. We don't want to hurt anybody here. And just stipple it in, stipple it in like this, if you want your edges to be a bit darker. Okay. So we're just going to come in and give that a bit of a dry. Hi, Tamara. Hi, is Dali here? I didn't see her today. Feel like I haven't talked to you for a couple of days either, Dali. Okay, so you can already see where I've kind of done the darker parts and the lighter parts. Okay, so now this is when you're going to go back in with your primer here. And what you're going to do is you do want to have more of a dry brush technique with this. And there's my paper towel. So with a dry brush technique, as you all know, but just as a reminder, when you're doing a dry brush technique, you always want a very dry brush. This is actually the brush that I just used. You want to take some of your primer paste on it, and you just want to tap it onto your paper towel. What this does, it works a primer paste up your brush bristles that allows you then to do some dry brushing. So in this, all we're going to do is we're just going to do some areas where we just want to highlight this. So you can already see, because of the texture of the chalk paints and because of the texture of the paper underneath, what you're going to start doing is picking up certain areas more so than other areas. So for instance, the edge of the papers. And that's why it's nice to have that paper as a texture builder for you. I can do a close-up and show you. Look, this has got to be like one of the easiest kind of you can't go wrong techniques that I know of. So now you can see you've got like a two-tone effect going on. You've got some dark bits, light bits, and then you've got the white showing up, and you've still got the cardstock showing up underneath. Okay, so this is what I mean about those straight lines. I don't really care for those straight lines. So I prefer kind of the torn look that I have going on down here, but that's okay. We will just cover that up with one of the deers. So now I was talking about the Distress Oxides, and I'm using a Distress Ink Walnut stain, and all you're going to start doing is that you're going to just start bringing this in, and as you'll notice, it's starting to pick up where your textured paper is. You were doing, oh, I thought you were doing a wedding. Weeding, laugh out loud. That's okay, the weeding has to be done. And all you're doing, you see how you're creating this beautiful texture behind your card. And the Distress Oxides lend themselves really well to this technique. Oh, sorry, this is Distress Ink, but yes, you can use Distress Oxides too. And you want to just incorporate that in your card so it's kind of all over, not just in that one simple area. So how easy was that? So now look at this gorgeous background that you have going on. So I'm going to bring in a little bit more of this brown. And I might have used a different brown. I think I might have used the Distress Oxide Walnut stain on my other card. But I'm really just trying to pick up those edges where I have the paper torn. And like I said earlier, this technique is just about continuing to build. Now, once you've got it to this stage, and you can keep going darker or lighter as much as you prefer, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to continue and do a little bit more dry brushing to still lighten up some of these areas where I want it to be lighter. Hi, Tara. So now you can see the difference where that lightness is. And you can just put it down where you want to put it down. There's no right or wrong way. And again, this is, you're just dry brushing this on. And then once you've got it, like I said, at home, take your time because, you know, you are doing a little bit of blending here. Some areas I like whiter than others. And then just take your trusty scissors. This is my way of doing it. Everybody has a different way. And just rough up your edges. Rough them up good and proper. I know there's a Tim Holtz tool out there. I don't have one. And my scissors work just as well. So now you've created this really, really very mixed media background. And it's hard really to see the details, but you can see the different colors and different shades in that. Okay, so then once you have that, then it's really up to you how you want to decorate it. But what I do to just take it one step further is I will come in and do some stamping. So let's go ahead and do some stamping on this. So no drying really involved because at this point what's happened is it's kind of dried as we go along. So let me pull my stamp up here. So this is from, I believe, my wolf stamp. And all we're going to do is we are just going to come in and not so much strategically, but wherever you want to, just come in and stamp. Now, you can do a really clean stamp like that. you can come in and make it a little more of a shadow like that. It's entirely up to you how you want to do this. Now, if for some reason it's too dark for you, you can always come in with your primer and you can pull it back, okay? So there we have that. And the other stamp that I'm going to use with that is the stars that also come with that stamp set. And as you guys know, I like to stamp off my paper. And I'm just going to pull some of that back because it's too dark for me. And I think what I'm going to do is I want to have a little bit of that seasonal wishes right about here because I want it kind of in my circle. Oopsie daisy. Okay, so there you have it. So now we've now created this gorgeous, gorgeous background just like this. And you know what, honestly, you could probably just leave it like this. You can also come in, and I like to rough up my edges a little bit more. Hi, Rita. I like to rough up my edges a little bit more on my sides, just to give it that more of that kind of mixed media look. So there you have it. If you want to at this point, you can come in and highlight the sides even more. And if you wanted to pull back that color, this would be the time to do that, where you can actually just go in and you can just pull back some of that color, okay? Now, let's have a look. What do we have here? So when I did the die cutting for this card, I like to have almost like a silhouette, or if you will, a shadow behind it. So I took a black piece, and I did this with most of my cards, and then I took a white piece. And then that went down like this. And then in terms of my deers, same thing. But because I'm reversing the image, their antlers are got stuck, because I'm reversing the image, I'm going to give it a shadow with a little bit of white. And I like that look because it also looked like there was snow behind it. Okay. So that went there. Obviously, I'm not going to sit here and glue them down, keep you guys, get you guys really bored. Same again. At this point, if you wanted to, you could reverse what color is on top and which color is on bottom. And then same with this, glue it down, give it a bit of a shadow, and tuck this one in here. So there you have the very first card. And that is really, really easy to do because you just can't go wrong. So here's the sample that I've made today, and here's the sample that I did for today's Facebook. So I would say I've got more primer in this one for highlights. So if I wanted to at this point, which I will show you, but I like to have a bit of a variation, I will show you. You just want to come in again, you're just dry brushing, and all you're going to do is you're just going to come in and you're going to start lightening areas like this, okay? Just where you want to lighten them. And then what you're going to find is that the effect that you get is going to be very similar to my first one, where it's starting to lighten up. So now you can see this area is really light and more similar to this one. Okay, thank you, Debbie. Thank you. So that was card number 1. I hope you enjoyed it. These are kind of my go-to colors. I absolutely love these colors. So again, that was just white Pentart primer and the patina green Dekor soft. And the cards themselves, as you can see, they have a very almost like a chalky matted look, and again they work really well with the Tim Holtz ink range. So there we go, card number 1 is done. Now we're going to repeat the same process. I think I'm so scared to use this red one. I'm telling you, when I used the Cardinal Red, oh boy, was I scared. It's just so bright. So same technique, and again, I'm doing it 3 times just because it's nice for you guys to see me do it a couple of times. Oh, thank you, Gloria. And here we go, my elegant deer dye. And let's go for it. Let's do the Cardinal Red that I'm just so afraid of. Now you will notice that I am actually only using 1 Dekor paint per card. So even though the cards look like they've got multiple colors on them, it's not. It's 1 Dekor soft paint, primer paste, gesso, and of course your Distress Oxide that brings in that color. So let's go for it. So this is a Cardinal Red, so you can see why I was probably so scared of using this. But of course, you want to play, right? So I'm just going to wash my brush out here and dry that. It's going to have some blue on it, but that's okay. I forgot to put it in water. I always complain to everybody, put my brushes in water when we do a workshop, and here I am not following my own advice. Okay, let's go for it. So we've done the white primer paste on that already, as you know. So we went glue, paper, white primer paste. So let's come in with this. So you're going to go from the outside in, and you're going to bring it in like this. And I like to keep my edges a little bit darker than when I come in towards the color, and that's maybe why I tend to do it this way. Then as my brush gets drier, I like to bring it into the middle area. Isn't that like such a decadent color? And again, from the outside in. Don't worry if you miss some spots, it adds to the overall card. Okay, so there you have it. Oh boy, how red is that? Super red. Okay, we're gonna dry that. I'll show you how red that is. Oh. Oh, and I also wanted, I know earlier I gave mention to the little retreat I went to, but I also wanted to mention a big thank you for anybody that was watching me last week, saw how bad my heat tool was. It was covered in paint and everything from me and some of my classes, especially acrylic pouring, where people use it. I want to say a big thank you to Miss Wendy, because she spent so much time cleaning my heat tool, and it looks like new now. So thank you, Wendy. Okay, so same thing. We're gonna come in now, and we are gonna highlight it. And again, we're gonna do some dry brushing, so pat it out. And we're just gonna do some dry brushing across your paper. And again, don't worry too much about where it's going at this point. Because this is all gonna eventually blend in, okay? So you're just gonna dry brush it in. And I know it still looks very red compared to the card that I have made for this Facebook, but we will get there. So just blend it all out. So you can see the difference between the two sides. bring a little bit more of that white into here. And don't be afraid if you get too much white or if you got too much red, because what's going to happen is that you can come in as many times as you want. These paints are very forgiving. And also because they dry so quick, like as I'm going along, I'm not worried about putting my fingers on my work because they do dry very, very fast. So now we've already pulled this card back quite a bit. And as you can see, you're almost getting like a grayish tone in there. Okay, so we're going to continue playing with this with a little bit more white. And I just want to come in and highlight some more areas, but you're just doing this stippling effect, because when you do the stippling effect, it really brings out where your edges are of your stuck down book paper. Now, so we have that there. So the next thing that we're going to do is that we're actually going to bring in Distress Ink Black Soot, because that black is going to help us bring this card together, okay? So I'm just going to bring that in, again, around the sides, picking up where that paper is. And again, this is just about creating that extra texture, because you can already tell where you can see the paper lines down this side where it's picking up the texture opposed to okay, Leslie, we'll see you later, have a safe journey back home. I'll be on YouTube till later, hun. You can see where the creases at the paper is from underneath, and then you're just going to continue to work around this. And again, like I said, bring some in over the paper like this, okay? Next step that you're going to do, again, we are going to come back in with some of this white primer. I haven't done the sides yet, but again, you're just working this in and you're bringing in some lighter areas. Just use that stippling effect. So it's the same technique in the first card, just using different colors. So this is where we're at right now. So I'm going to come in with a bit more of the Distress Black, believe it or not, to just give it more of that darker look in certain areas. Don't be afraid to use and mix and match products from different companies, or they all, you know, eventually come together. So it's got more of a darker tone coming on now. And what I'm going to do is that I am going to go back in with some dry brushing with my white again. So I'm going to lighten up some areas here. And again, like I said, this is more about going in back and forth and just blending and getting it to where you want it to be. And I'm just going to come over that white a little bit, but you see how the Distress ink below is picking it up? dry brushing this technique is the best way to go. And now what I'm going to do is dry brush a little bit of the red on it while it's still a little bit wet, so I can get some of those lighter colors looking in there like this. So now there's somewhere it's slightly lighter. So then you end up with something like this. And if you don't like the stark lines, then you can just blend it in. Okay. And again, I can keep probably going at this till I'm happy with it. But we should probably get going and keep moving forward. Okay, so I'm quite happy with my background there. I like the pops of light there. They are going to get a little bit darker because what we're going to be doing is we are going to be obviously stamping again. So for this one, the stamp that I used is actually a very, very old stamp of mine. I don't even know if they make this anymore. Good morning, Charlie. I don't even know if they make this stamp anymore. So I'm just going to get this stamp and we are just going to, stamp across this, just like that. There. So how pretty is that? So now I will show you that background paper and what it looks like with a little bit of stamping on it. So how pretty is that? Okay, so don't worry about the stark white here, because by the time you've got everything on this, it plays out really well. You can just keep coming in and blending, because I keep doing that. And then again, like I said, get your trusty scissors and you can just rough it up at the edges. I don't know what the word for that is. Distress the edges, I don't know. And I like mine to have a little bit of tears in it, so you can tear it manually with your hand. I just like the organic look so that it's not all the same. Okay, so there we have another piece done, and I'm just going to come in and I am going to just darken the sides on this a little bit. Okay, there you have it. It's not quite dry, and if you think it's too dark, just keep coming in and going back. So again, when I'm doing my projects, I like to have a shadow behind them. So with this one, again, glue this down and have a slight shadow behind it. Now you could also do the black, and this is what it would look like if you wanted to do the black version on it. And you can also just do, oh, I already glued this down, like that. So that's what it would look like if, hi Amy, if you were to just do it with the black on the white. And then my version was like, oopsie daisy, was like this, the black shadow behind it. So here we go. Here is the sample card, and here is a card I did today. Again, I've used more white primer on this one and then I have on this one. But again, very similar, two cards, really neat backgrounds in there. Hard to believe that you can do that with just one Dekor paint and some gesso. Okay, hi Stephanie. So there is card number 2, all done. And here I was so afraid of using this luscious Cardinal Red. Okay, so last but not least, and you get to see the technique one more time. I'm just going to wash out both of my brushes here because I've got a bit of red going on that one. Thank you, Charlie. And such a neat, easy technique too. So this will be interesting because I got a little bit of red on my brush and I think my water's kind of done for. I'll try it in my other pot. Now they're a lot lighter in person than they probably come across on the camera. Okay, so card number 2 is done. So card number 3, I'm going to do the exact same technique again, and again you can watch me and see how I do this. And this one we are going to use, so we've used the Dekor Cardinal Red, we've used the Patina Green. So last one that we're actually going to use, believe it or not, is the Graphite Gray. And this one we're doing just a slightly little bit different, so I've saved it for last, because we're going to introduce very little of this. We're not going to cover the whole paper with this, because I want more of a smoky effect rather than a full effect. Thank you, Sandra. Okay, so what I'm actually going to do first is I want this to be slightly more wider than what I have it. So this card is slightly different in that I'm going over a second time over the first layer of primer that I have. Okay, that's the only difference with this card. Well, not the only difference, because I don't cover the whole card with the Dekor Soft either. So there we have that. Let's give that a dry. And then with this one, let's go in with the Graphite Gray. Let's see, yes, Graphite Gray. And again, with this one, we're just going to come in just very, very more of a stippling effect on this card, and just not everywhere. Okay, if you remember the last one, we kind of covered everywhere. This one we're not going to cover everywhere. Okay, this one we're just going to come in some random areas, and we're going to do it light and dark in different areas. I can see the Cardinal Red coming off my brush on this one. So that's not a color for this, but I can see it coming off. So this one you're not going again for that full coverage look. It's more just stippling it on. Stippling it on. I'm gonna just have to not use that word. Pouncing it on. Maybe I will stick to that word. It's more of a pouncing effect for this one. And this one, I did remember doing a bit of blending on this one. This was my very first one actually that I had done. If you have new brushes, don't use them, just use your old ones. Because you really just want to get that paint out of there. So as I mentioned, not a lot of full coverage on this one. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back in with the white and start to highlight some of this. As you see, I'm just leaving the corners kind of where there's some on it, so I'm using very little on my paint. I am pouncing quite hard because I want to create that a slightly different effect in the background where it looks very, very rough. Hi, Liliana. Okay, and I want some areas that are a little bit more wider than other areas, so I'm just going to keep coming in till I get to the desired effect. Can't go wrong with this technique because you can keep coming in and out of doing this as many times as you want. Don't like it, go back in and lighten it up. But I did like the lighter area in this one, in the back for my stamping. Because one of the colors for the stamps is a light brown. So we're just gonna keep going back in till I get it to where I like it. Okay, and then I'm just going to come in with a little bit of the gray, and I just want to very, very gently, I don't want to pick up too much paint here, very, very gently darken some of those edges. So not a lot, just very little. So again, a very, very dry brush. Okay, until you get it to where you want it to be. And then I'm just going to come in with a little bit of white. And I just want to give it more of that distressed look on my edges now. Got my fingerprints in there. Okay, so next step that you want to do is, again, now you want to come in with your distress pad and ink pad, and we have Walnut stain here. And I'm still actually going to come in, before I do that, I still want some areas that are slightly lighter because I want them to pick up the distress ink pad and give it that kind of caramelly, luscious color. Okay, I'm going to give that a quick dry. Like I said, it doesn't take much for it to dry. Thank you, Jill, for answering that question. For this card, Liliana, it was the Cardinal Red, Dekor Soft. And for this card, the base was the Patina Green. And for this card, as Jill has mentioned, it is the Dekor Soft Graphite Gray. So only one color per card, even though there's like, I think 13 different colors available in the Dekor Softs. So let's go in and same thing. We're just going to start bringing this in. In some areas you want darker than others. And you can see I bring it into the insides too, not just the outsides. And you get this gorgeous, gorgeous effect that you can see in that corner. I think my walnut stain here is starting to run out. My good friend Gail keeps on telling me to come over and fix these up for me. She's got the re-inkers and I just haven't had time. So okay, there you have it. What I'm going to do is, while my distress ink is still wet, I'm going to come back in with the white, because what that's going to do is move that color around a little bit. So as I said, this card is slightly different how I'm doing it compared to the other cards. I really want to incorporate and make that distressed ink look a little bit lighter. And this is all about just creating texture over and over again. And if you can see, I don't know if you can see it in that corner there, if you can see, you've got a brown, you've got the white, and you've got the graphite gray blended so seamlessly right there. I'm not sure how well you can see that on there. So the next thing that you want to do is, after you've finished blending, and it seems like I just love to blend, after you finish blending, is to come in, and again now we're going to start with our stamping. So blend this as much as you want, as less as you want. Again, with the Dekor Softs, they dry so nicely. And I'm just going to bring in, I think because my pad here is a little bit dry, I'm not picking up as much of the brown as I'd like to, but I'll try again here. I'm not really waiting for anything to dry, just going straight in. Okay, so let's leave it at that, and let's go ahead and do some stamping with this one. So with this one, what I did was I actually used my archival acid-free potting soil, and what I wanted to do was just work around where my die cuts were. Thanks, Jill. I just wanted to thanks, Liliana, work around where my die cuts were. So I had already placed them down, and then I actually wanted a bit of a variation to go with the background of my card. So let's just put these down, and let's just hope that they work out to where we want them to be. And if they don't, they don't. Because there's nothing right or wrong in mixed media, right, ladies? And you can just put these wherever you want or however you want. There's no right or wrong way of doing this. And then after I was done with the potting soil, I came in and I used my archival ink black. Having said that, I can also use my VersaFine. It really makes no difference. I just didn't have any VersaFine in black, so that's what happened. And then I just wanted to come in and shadow this a little bit like this, a little bit higher to offset it. There you go. And again with these right here, let's do that so we've kind of got it. And we can do a little bit one of, look at me, I'm so picky about how I do stuff, aren't I? Okay, so then I did that. And then after that, what I did was I came in with my Pentart artist trading card set. As you know, even though this is an artist trading card set, I tend to use this a lot in my mixed media. So again, all we're going to do is come in and we're just going to randomly stamp this stamp, and I'm not going to put a base on it. I'm just going to put it into some ink here and let it do its own thing. So just like that. And put the butterfly in a couple of areas. However you want to do this, it's mixed media, so don't worry about it too much. Okay, so just randomly, it's like just to slap this on, if you will. There you have it. Don't overthink it, as Dali would say. Do not overthink it. Okay, so for me, this is too dark. You know what I'm like when I don't like something, I just go back in. So let me just try this a little bit. So one of the things that I can do then, if it, for me it's too dark, is to come back in with my primer paste. Thank you, Tara, and here we go. This is how you can come back in and you can just go ahead and lighten this. I'm also noticing, because my Walnut stain ink pad is kind of dry, I'm not actually being able to pick up some of that color that I really liked earlier to match the potting soil archival ink. So let's see what we can do about that, shall we? But see, there's no right or wrong. I mean, this is such a project that you can keep going back in. And the effects that it creates are just amazing. I mean, I just love the texture and the effects that you get when doing this technique. Now, let me see, what do I have here? I have vintage photo. Maybe we'll go with vintage photo here and see if that gives me the look. I'm kind of bringing some of that brown. Who knows? It might not. But I just want it to pick up. There we go. I just want some of the lighter areas to pick up some of that brown. But you know, you can keep going in as many times as you want. Okay, and then of course bring some into here. Now take your trusty scissors again and off we go. And again, I know there's a tool out there for this, but I like to have a little bit more freedom in it not looking identical everywhere when I do this. And then come in and tear it up a little bit in areas, mush it all up. And then if you want, come around the sides again. I quite like that white edge for this one. And then basically all you're gonna do is you have your die cuts here, and just, this is my way of doing it. I'm sure there's a professional tool out there to do this too. And then I just like to pop them up like this. This is from the Tim Holtz Sizzix Big Dies Poinsettia set. It comes with the embossing folder too, but I have always used the embossing folder with this because I like to use wax paste on it. However, I didn't want to for this one because I just loved how simple and gorgeous it looked. So then we have this one, and the Diamantes I had put in the middle. And again, just pop it up. Thank you, Liliana. Tuck that in. We have the peace sign right here. That will go right there. Now, in terms of, as you guys know, I talked about how I like to shadow my work. I mean, sometimes. So all I did was, I'm going to go back to this color here. Or maybe not, because that's too dry. And all I did was I just came in and this is Distress Oxide Vintage Photo, but I had used Distress Ink Walnut Stain originally, but my pad seems to be a little bit dry, so that I don't have to keep you guys here forever, I'm going with the simpler one. So then we have this one, and we are going to take that, and just look how beautiful, just, yes, the best tool. And we're just going to tuck that in there like this. Of course, you're going to rearrange this a lot better than I'm doing it right now. And do the same thing with your other one. And I just find that by doing this, and rather than just having one die cut, or having a die cuts that are kind of the same color, white, black, or whatever color you go with, it just adds a really nice touch and a further element of a 3D look, opposed to just a plain look. So once you've done that, I hope this Facebook was formative, and it shows you that sometimes less is more when using less products. And again, you're going to shadow that slightly like that. And hi, Paulette. And then you can tuck this one underneath too. So there is the sample. There is my card. As you can see, this one was done with the walnut stain, so it's a little bit more browner. And also this one has a lot of white primer on it. If you wanted to, all you need to do, if you want to whiten up some of those edges, is just come in, and you will notice it doesn't take much to start blending, and already you can see where I put that down, how much that has whitened up in that corner right there. So this was the third and final sample of today. And so that was one card. Let's have a look, where are the other ones? This was the other card. And the final card was this card. So I really hope, thank you, Coralie. I really, oh, thank you, Liliana. Yes, that's a Tim, actually, before I say yes, that is from this die set right here. It's actually a lady here in Canada, I believe BC, D's Distinctively, and she has a die cut in it called Joy, Hope, Love, and Peace. And I really like using this because you've got 4 different words that you can use whenever you want. The rest of the dies are all Sizzix. This is Dali Art Stamp, Merry Christmas, from her Snow Globe stamp set. And yeah, and the rest are either the deers are Distinctively dies also, and the rest is all Tim Holtz and Sizzix. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed it. And thank you, Jill. Have yourselves a great week. And I will be back next Tuesday. Some lovely ladies I will see tonight for our regular mixed media workshop. And plan to get dirty because gloves would be a good thing for tonight. And some of you I'll see on Saturday for my acrylic pouring workshops. Thank you everybody that came by, and thank you again for all your support. And don't forget to follow us on Shock Art Sisters on YouTube. And this will be uploaded shortly there. Okay everyone, have a great day. Thank you Liliana. Bye everyone.